Alright, I had to restart it. Yeah, almost. This kid was skateboarding or whatever. Not those little scooter skates. A little. I was like, get out of the middle of the street, please. Job opportunities in our industry. You know, my commentaries are always just my limited experience in the healthcare field, in nursing school, and whatever I can give you guys glean from my decades as a parent and domestic U.S. manufacturer. Job opportunities in nursing. You'll hear this from day one. Oh, we're going to face a nursing shortage, and we are right now. We're facing a huge shortage because of COVID. I'm seeing it first line, front line. Right now, we're floated every night. We're just shuttled around, and it's pretty bare. And I don't know. I mean, you know, I could say, hey, administration's not doing anything. I think they are. I do see new hires, even though we're supposed to be whittling down through attrition. Wow. And, but it takes a long time to train a nurse. It'd be better to retain the talent that you have. And I'm not talking about me. I'm new hire. I'm talking about the ones that trained me and the ones that have been there for years, decades, whatever. You gotta retain some of this brain drain. You know, when I first started in manufacturing, we faced a huge brain drain in our company. And that's kind of the first things I did to take over control or assert my control in my business from my father. Is that he reacted to a downturn, just laid off as a, you know, just knee-jerk reaction, what he's always done. And he had been in business maybe 12 years, 15 years at that point. Right, about that much, maybe 12 years. I think about 12 years. No, 15 years. And that's what he always did. And that's what everybody told him to do, whatever. And you have to do to some degree. But he cut too deep. And when we were busy, and I just kind of voiced it. I didn't know any better. I was just a kid. I said, you know, what happens when we're busy? Because he was like, oh, don't worry, we're going to get busy again. We're seasonal. I said, okay, I understand that. What happens then, though? You got rid of X, you know, Y, Z, you know, whatever. These guys are crew chiefs, basically. So I was like, what? Oh, they'll come back, or maybe they'll come back, whatever, you know. We'll just hire someone. And I was like, okay. Restarted busy season. It was a shit show. And looking back, I'm like, we shouldn't have done this. And I gathered my crew together. We weren't my crew yet, but the heads, and they say, what's going on? How can we fix this? Because my father was just like, oh my God, you gotta have fixed it. That's the kind of executive he was. And, you know, usually the middle management took care of it, but now, because of my birthright, I was in there, and I said, okay, here, what's going on? You know, I just sat there as, you know, a mushroom in the corner in the meetings, saying, what's going on? And that's when I said, no, you guys, next time, do not cut that deep. They're like, well, we're supposed to do this, you know, Tony, your dad said whatever. And I said, no. How are you going to restart up? Well, we're going to take a hit then in the off season. I said, look, I'm the owner. I'll bring it to my father. We got to keep the talent. This is crazy. If you're going to have a busy season, you know you're going to have a busy season. That's an important caveat versus the healthcare. You have to keep these people. How are you going to train the next crew that comes in? The seasonal crew or temporary crew or what have you. Maybe we can, you know, whatever. There's a whole diatribe down that way. Healthcare industry. Do they know it's going to be a busy season or not? That's the question. I mean, you don't know. We're at capacity. We're at max capacity right now. Literally yesterday, no open beds. Did not have a single open bed in the hospital. I know because I had people parked in ED and they're screaming for my bed, one of my beds, and I was like, I can't do anything about it. I need transport to get this person out. I can't move them. If I could, I would. So you're at capacity, but we were short staffed too. So what's the issue with that? I mean, there's economic issues and what have you. I'm not going to get into that. It's way beyond me to discuss that. But what I'm discussing here is job opportunities, and getting rid of a layer or strata of our industry that is going to be desperately needed to train that crew coming in, whether it's new grads or transfers or what have you. Now, what I started the video at was basically discussing, hey, there is a shortage. It's a great opportunity. I'm not only going to espouse that mantra to you. You're going to hear enough of that. I'm going to give you, again, a straight scoop of what it is. Yes, there's going to be a dearth of required bedside nurses, ICU nurses, et cetera, ED nurses, et cetera, et cetera. But the real growth is going to be geriatric care, because that's your aging population. That's what they're pointing at demographic-wise. They're not telling you that, though. It's going to be long-term care, assisted living care, whether it's LPNs or RNs and stuff like that. There's nurses that are needed, definitely, and there's going to be huge growth in that field. Whether or not they're going to pay, they're going to have to. And I had this discussion yesterday with somebody. That pay scale has to, because you're not going to have anybody fill the spots. It's like an article I was reading about the Hamptons. They had to raise rates to get seasonal workers to even come. They're short-staffed. How great of a restaurant are you to, these fancy rich people, if you got no servers? Can't get good help these days. Well, yeah, no, you got to pay that help. And that's not free. This is not slave labor. Targaryens freed everybody. She freed, hey, Game of Thrones. She freed everybody. She burned the masters to a crisp, right? You're gonna have to pay the nurses. It's gonna come. That's really what has to happen next. Pay scale has to increase. And coming from a business owner, believe me, maybe they don't have it within them to do that right now. And I suspect that's more of a structural, that is something that is an issue. Just because the doctor's making $500,000, you can't take from the doctor and give it to nurses. People like to think that there's not that many doctors making that much money. It's not going to happen. You need a structural change. You take whatever, if you take the entire $500,000 and disperse it out to the nurses, ooh, here's $50 to everybody. It's not going to make a difference. We have that many nurses. Come on. It's not going to make a difference. You're going to have a structural change. It's not the doctor's fault. It's not them. They're not taking $50 million. If they take $50 million, yes, then redistribute it. They're not. They put in crazy hours. They deserve the money they make. There is going to be growth, and that's why I wanted the video originally was for. I'm kind of zigzagging on this. You're going to hear that in nursing school. You're going to hear that coming out of the gates, coming to the prereqs. Yeah, there's great growth opportunity, but it is specifically in certain fields. Okay, and there's probably going to be cutbacks in certain other fields. So camp, school. It's going to be cutbacks because there's less in-person schools. I mean, I hear as a parent of school-age kids, there's a lot of people don't want to send them back at all. Now, will that change down the road in 5-10 years? Yeah, probably. It'll probably go back to a norm. Excuse me. But the real permanent growth, quote-unquote permanent growth, will be in the geriatric care because your population's aging. There's not enough nurses. That's where the growth is. Long-term care, assisted living care. And that's where I think people are, I like to think they just are leaving that out by accident. But I suspect not. Because it's not as glamorous a role for us nurses. But that's a lot of our jobs. Even the glamour jobs aren't that glamorous. So be aware of that. Understand a good portion of you out there might have to go to that as and I hate to dissuade anybody because that's not, it's also not, I'm coming from the point of it's not a glamorous ICU role. Now you want to be ICU nurse, great, go, do it and push to get to there. I can give many stories of people that were horrible in school are great ICU nurses. They just weren't good at school, but they're great nurses, competent, and better than the A+ student in school. And I'm talking nursing school. Then, coming out of the gates, they're like me, bedside nurse. I'm just a bedside nurse. Not just a bedside nurse, but that's what I do. Yeah, I graduated with honors. Great. I'm doing what I like this stuff. I'm surprised I like it. I thought I was going to be ED ICU nurse. But, a lot of people enter the field looking for that glamour. This is getting really long, so I'm going to start cutting it off. I might make another video. But I wanted that concept out there. I might reshoot this. Because the concept is, yes, there's a lot of growth in our industry. Everybody's saying that. We're going to be short 1 million nurses, 2 million nurses, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what the number is going to be, but I suspect a big part of that shortage, and also the COVID shortage, whatever, is going to be it's going to be in the elder care. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't want people... I hate the fact that they're not just, saying that. It's not in the fine print, or it's rarely in fine print. I think I only saw 1 or 2 articles where it was kind of in the fine print, the gist of the article. They just say, it's going to be a shortage. Yeah, well, it's not. Yeah, there's going to be a shortage of ICU, out of 100 nurses. Yeah, maybe it's going to be 5 ICU, 15 ED, 25 bedside, and 50 elder care, that kind of thing. And maybe 5 like all the other fields. And there's a lot of other fields, by the way. You use corporate, there's a whole bunch of stuff, auditing. There's stuff that you never even lay hands on patients, and you're a nurse. So just FYI, it just kind of strikes me it galls me a little bit that it's like, they're kind of leaving out the truth. I don't like that. So, like I said, my channel is always going to be, I'm just ranting a lot of times, but also I'm going to tell you some stuff that they're really not going to tell you. It's not the glamour side. I'm an old fogey, and that's just the way I am. I'm very blunt. Maybe that's why I'm thrice married. Too blunt. That's not the reason. But I am a blunt guy, and that's just the way it goes. All right.